Hi, my name is Scott McLeod. I'm Director of Innovation for Prairie Lakes Area Education Agency in Iowa. I used to be a school professor and preparing school principals and superintendents, and in that role I also created the first center in America focused on leadership of technology-rich learning environments. That center is called CASTLE. It's now at the University of Kentucky. I do a lot of blogging and tweeting at Dangerously Irrelevant. My Twitter handle is @McLeod, and I'm pretty present on social media and in other spaces. So what am I passionate about? I'm passionate about transforming schools and making schools different for kids. When I work with school districts, I talk about sort of the three big shifts that almost every school in the world needs to make. The first shift is a shift from lower level learning to higher level learning. How do we take that 80 to 85% of the school day where kids are doing low level factual recall and procedure regurgitation and have more of that time be focused on critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, communication, collaboration, all those sort of upper level thinking skills and mental work that we know we need more of these days in particular. Second big shift is around agency. Schools are so heavily teacher directed. How do we give kids more control and autonomy over what they're doing? How do we give them some more ownership, which of course leads to better motivation and engagement? The work of Desi and Ryan is pretty clear on that. So how do we move from teacher-directed learning spaces to more student-driven learning opportunities, more often? And then the third shift is one from analog to digital. How do we take our traditional analog-oriented schools and move them to this new complex online, mobile, hyper-connected digital information landscape that we now live in? And the great part about that digital shift, and the reason I do so much work in the area of educational technology, is that it enables the other two shifts. It enables the shift towards more agency. It enables the shift towards deeper learning. In other words, kids can do more things and think more deeply in ways that were never before possible in ink on paper environments. So those are the three big shifts that I'm pretty passionate about, helping schools navigate, and that's really great work. Now, the challenge is that most of the work that's done in those areas right now is focused primarily on teachers and students in the classroom. My lens is really leadership. So I do most of my work with principals and superintendents, trying to figure out how do we create systems of support, how do we create systemic change structures that affect entire schools and districts and states and countries, not just individual classrooms. If you think about the school system that you're familiar with, you're seeing isolated pockets of excellence wherever you go, right? Every school, every district has a few enterprising teachers here and there that's doing fantastic stuff with kids along those three shifts that I described. The challenge, however, is that that's not typically system-wide, because the people who are in charge of the systems, the people who are in charge of the resource allocation, personnel, time, money, professional development, vision, etc., those principals, superintendents, policymakers are formal leaders, don't have the kind of support structures themselves or the understandings that we need them to have to get there. So I spend a lot of time working with formal school administrators, trying to help the light bulbs go on, but not just help them see what the need is to do things differently, but also how do we get there, right? So I work on cognitive dissonance, I work on emotional dissonance, I work on, how do we create dissatisfaction with the status quo so we have a felt need and desire to move, and then we work on those structures that are necessary, leadership structures, training structures, policy structures, legal structures, whatever it takes, instructional structures, curriculum, and so on, that will help us move us in the directions that we need to go. That's the work that I do with leaders, and it's very exciting. And when the leaders get it, it happens. And when the leaders don't get it, it doesn't happen, because they're in charge of all those system levers that move things forward. So that's the work I do. It's really great. It's really exciting. I love working with classroom teachers, but I really, really love to work with educational leaders and policymakers, because we can see systemic-wide changes, not just sort of local level changes, and that's really great stuff to do.